The before, I was something of a shopaholic. I worked retail and didn't make enough to live on, but pretty much every day I'd come home with something new. Dear viewer, I never wore the nail polish. And even as a card-carrying member of the Zero Waste Club, my consumption habits were crappy, for lack of a better adjective. I simply replaced clearance nail polish with cute plastic-free swaps I didn't need. Until I realized what I needed was a system to act as a barrier between me and my shopping cart. And with the help of this system, I was able to start unpacking my desire for new stuff. So let's talk about how I learned to stop buying crap thanks to a free app called Notion. Oh, not sponsored. But first, a little info about Notion. If you're already familiar, feel free to skip ahead to the next chapter in the video, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet despite my fangirl status. So Notion is a free web app that's often touted as the holy grail of productivity. But with a little imagination, it can be so much more than that. Notion's organizational tools for task management and project tracking are so good for keeping on top of our sustainability goals. Because when you think about it, trying to lead a more sustainable life is kind of just one massive lifelong project, right? So a few ways that I use Notion to be a better earth person. I have a menu planning page to help me prevent food waste, a slow closet page where I developed my own personal style and track how frequently I'm wearing my clothes. I keep track of all the peer-reviewed articles, books, podcasts, and documentaries I want to learn from. I have habit trackers for my eco goals. It's where I plan all my YouTube videos and where I deliberate about whether something I want will provide me with good value and be kind to the planet. The beauty of Notion is that it's so customizable. You can really create a digital space that you just super enjoy spending time in. I will say from experience that there's a slight learning curve with Notion, but very luckily there are like thousands of tutorials here on YouTube that will teach you how to use Notion. That's how I learned, aside from just experimentally tinkering with the different features. Or another great way to dip your toe is to try a template made by Notion enthusiasts. They can really show you what Notion is capable of. And you can download Notion for free in the description box below, as well as links to all my templates. Got it up and running. So let's do a screen share. The sleep on it wish list. I chose to call it the sleep on it wish list because often the purchases that we come to later regret were the ones that we made impulsively or in haste. And sleeping on it grants us clarity, gives us time to consider pros and cons. Is this a passing whim, or is this something that will actually make my life better? Probably not. You never know, it might. But that is exactly what this template was designed for. I like to have little quotes on most of my pages, and I change them periodically to keep things interesting, but this one I've had for so long because I love it. It says, think of yourself as a curator rather than a consumer. Words to live by, am I right? And this subpage down here is where the user guide lives. Instructions for how to use and customize everything in this template. The wish list is in database form because there are so many variables to consider when figuring out if a purchase is the right one for you. And this just keeps all that information in one tidy package. In this table, this is my general wish list where I put everything I really want / need. When I think of something, for instance, let's take this electric kettle. I'd choose the category it belongs to, so either work, kitchen, household, self-care, wardrobe, or wardrobe care. I just added that category because one of my eco resolutions this year was to take better care of my clothes. Then we have, is it used or new? I like to specify in the table whether the things I want are secondhand or not, so I can start sort of spotting trends. Like, dang, everything I recently added to my wish list is labeled new. What's driving me to want to buy new things? Am I spending more time on social media and that's causing me to want to shop? Are there some feelings I need to deal with? But for the kettle, I definitely want a used one, because obviously they're more affordable and also obviously they're better for the environment. So secondhand first. Price, I'm not sure of the eBay price just yet, so we'll keep that blank for now. A little photo of the item. Then I put why I want / need it. For the kettle, my reason is that they're more efficient than using the stove, especially because I currently just use this setup I'll show on the screen. It's not the end of the world, but it's pretty inefficient. And the second reason is that getting an electric kettle would remove a barrier to me making tea every day, which is something that I want to do. Here I set it by priority. This is a big one. The table is sorted so that high priority items are shown at the top and low priority items are at the bottom. And these views up here are filtered to show the nice to haves, i.e. low priority, the really want, medium priority, and need. I'm kind of strict and try to keep the need tab kind of only for just things I need. Like, I'd consider a moisturizer a need since I have very dry skin with what I think is rosacea, and my zero waste products are making it worse. That's a topic for another video, I think. Then there's the when. When do you want to buy it if you were to buy it? For instance, when your current product runs out, or simply someday. By the way, you can customize these selections and everything on the page to suit you better. Anyway, for the kettle, I chose when back in stock because this color is pretty rare, I guess, and they're kind of hard to find used. Then I have a column called purchased. So when I click the checkbox, it automatically filters into an archived wish list. We'll talk more about that later. It's so helpful. Okay, this is one of my favorite properties in my sleep on a wish list, and maybe even the most eye-opening part of it. Here you note the date you were initially interested in buying the item. Now, this is what really helps you to sleep on purchases, metaphorically, because I don't honestly think a 12-hour waiting period is enough to make like a super informed decision, especially if it's like a, more of a bigger purchase. But that's just me. I have a history of impulse shopping, and if you're watching this video, maybe you do too. So I try to wait as long as I can because I just cannot with the buyer's remorse anymore. I just cannot. Like, if I can't stop thinking about this kettle and see that it's only been on my radar for like a week, then to me, that's probably not enough time to really mull it over. Especially because by my standards, this would be a big purchase. But you'll see here, it's actually been on my wish list since 2022. So what this signals to me is that I can definitely live without it. It's kind of a double-edged sword, taking note of the date. On one hand, you want to wait a reasonable amount of time before making a purchase, especially if it's a big one. But if you wait too long, it's almost like, what's the point? Do I really even need this after all? So, I don't know. It's just interesting. Which brings us to the last field. I just call it issue. It's when I really, really want to buy a thing, but something is stopping me. Head versus heart, a tale as old as time. My heart is telling me to buy something as soon as I have the money, but my head is saying maybe there are more important things to prioritize, like being able to retire someday. Then this table down here is actually the same as above. It's just filtered differently to reflect only the things I need or want to make my work better or easier. And I will only be using the little bit of money that I get from YouTube to pay for it. You would want to change the filter on this table to organize a wish list category that's important to you. Like, maybe you've noticed a few gaps in your wardrobe and your priority is to find a couple secondhand pieces you absolutely love. You'd change the filter to show only items from the wardrobe category. Right now, my #1 priority is slowly making improvements to the quality of my videos, and getting a secondhand microphone is top of my list. So if you decide to buy the Sleep On It wish list, do know that you will be directly helping improve my channel. That warms my cold, shriveled heart. And I just want to say thank you. Over here is the do not buy list. I think it's important to identify the things that we tend to buy too much of, so that we can sort of just focus on using up what we already have before buying more. My big things are seeds, herbs for tea, and secondhand jars and baskets. Definitely have enough, and I can just use them up before buying more. Anyway, Below the do not buy list is the okay to thrift list. I use this for items I could really use but don't have a source for yet. So if I'm at the thrift store and come across the perfect pre-loved secondhand cardigan that I've been hunting down for ages, I can buy it because I already know that this ticks all my boxes. It's exactly what I wanted. I'm good to go. Because the sleep on it wish list, contrary to popular belief, is not about perfectionistic anti-consumption. It's about restraint. And curation is restraint, right? Restraint's such a weird word. It's starting to sound fake. Restraint. This is a table I called out specifically for things that need to be replaced or replenished, refilled. It's filtered to show only items that have been tagged as when current runs out. So like we have a few weeks left of the Drops laundry detergent, and shortly before that runs out, I'll know to restock it. So I'm like squirming around. I can't get comfortable. I call this section decisions because this table is filtered by the head versus heart issue that we talked about earlier. Items you really want, but something is holding you back. Maybe it's that it's not quite in the budget just yet, or you don't have enough information about it. But whatever the issue is, here you can sort of deliberate on it, journal style. Let's say you want to add an item to your wish list. Click new, name the item, fill out the top section. Cool, so you're finished with that and now you want to deliberate. You scroll down here and select the template called "This wouldn't be an impulse purchase, would it?" And a preloaded template with some helpful prompts shows up. Why do I want this? How will this make my life better? Is this an heirloom quality item I could potentially pass down? What makes this item sustainable compared to alternatives? And can you think of any reasons why this maybe isn't the smartest purchase? This is for your eyes only, so make sure that you are honest with yourself here. And then, keeping with the decisions theme, here's a gallery database. This is a separate space to compare and contrast products from different brands before making a decision and adding an item to your wish list. And it's how I finally landed on my linen bedding from Magic Linen. And I have to say, that was a solid choice, thanks to this template. In these cards, I could write pros and cons, like this brand doesn't have many reviews yet, but they have the exact color I want. Or these sheets are $15 more, but the company's ethics are awesome. Which one do I go for? That's what this is for. Down here is another filtered view of the main database. This one only shows wishlist items labeled as wardrobe care, but like I mentioned before, you'd want to change this to a category that is relevant to you and your goals. So yeah, only items I want in order to take better care of my clothes. I have a visible mending kit, a reusable lint remover for whenever my conventional lint roller runs out, a secondhand steamer. You get the idea. I think having separate filtered views of these different categories on our wish list is helpful because, for example, you could narrow in on just items for a specific skill you want to learn, or items you only want to buy when they go on sale, or okay, here are all my health-related purchases, you know? There are so many ways to organize the data in your sleep on a wish list, and I'm changing these up when my focus changes, when my priorities change. A few years ago, I had a table dedicated to my first garden, but now that I already have all that stuff set up, I already bought all that stuff, I changed that table to a different table, different category. It's just so customizable compared to like a Pinterest wish list, which is what I used to use before I started this. I'd collect things that caught my eye, and my rule was I couldn't buy anything unless I had slept on it for at least a few days. It was a fine system, and I used it for years, but it didn't really tell me anything. It didn't give me a chance to think about why I wanted it. It didn't tell me how long I'd been wanting it. And while it worked to an extent, my old wishlist system definitely wasn't designed to low-key talk me out of purchases. And that, my friends, is how the Sleep on a Wish list was born. Here's another view of the main database, but this one is different. and very special. Let me scroll back up to the main database. Remember how I mentioned that if I check this box under purchased, it automatically moves it to an archive version of your wish list? This is wonderful for financial tracking and spotting purchasing patterns. So as often as you need, you can go look at what you've already bought during a particular period and how much you've spent. When I have a month with more purchases than usual, I might look at this and think, maybe next month I can do a no-buy month or a low-buy season. I think it also gives you a chance to sort of evaluate past purchases, like, see, I bought this even though I tagged it as low priority. And surprise, surprise, the thing didn't provide me with value for very long. Handy. I just want to stress how much the system has changed my relationship with impulse shopping and retail therapy. At the end of the day, it's helped me to stop buying crap. And though it's never easy to change habits that are so ingrained, the Sleep On It wishlist system has definitely made it easier. For me, the Sleep On It wishlist is not about perfectionistic restriction. It was just a way to train myself to be more mindful and to nudge me into intentionality. And this system has helped me to prioritize the things that matter most to me, consuming less but better for the planet, and therefore saving money. And if that sounds good to you too, kindly find the link to the Sleep On It wishlist template in the description box below the like button, as well as a link to download Notion for free. I hope this gave you some interesting ideas for using Notion to stay on top of your good earth person eco habits. And if so, I have another video you may like. It shows some behind the scenes of how I use Notion for my work and personal life, and all around just managing my time so that I can make room for my little earth approved hobbies and prevent eco burnout. Okay, good night. I mean, no, goodbye.